Hey, what is up, and welcome to this video for Marvel Contest of Champions. Today I'm going to cover, in my opinion, who are the best champs now that we're in version 14.0. And the way that I'm going to do this and the way that I've come up with my rankings is what's their overall utility, and pretty much from an offensive perspective. I'll have a separate video to cover who I think are the best Alliance War defense champions and what nodes they should be placed in. But the purpose of this video is who are the top champions by class and overall, to who do you really play like in the in-game content when you do event missions, pretty much on the offensive side. And the way that I've done this again is overall utility, then also gameplay and animation. Are they easy to play? In my opinion, are they easy to play? Do I like the animation? And a third element I look at is the deep wound mastery and also how they align with the other masteries I have, but primarily the deep wound mastery. So champions that have a bleed effect I like better than other champions. And then lastly, lore. What's the relation, how do I feel about that champion in terms of like what are they doing them, overall from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Marvel Comics, etc., that kind of thing. So keeping all of those elements in mind, that's how I've come up with these rankings. So we're going to go by class first and then end up in the top three. So, and then for each class, what are the top three basically as well? So, starting off with Mystic, the number one champion I think is really Scarlet Witch. I mean, AKA cheat code. I still think she's cheat code. If you've got a Scarlet Witch that has, and her signature ability is awakened, and you've got a lot of signature stones in her, you're going to still see a lot of great value in Scarlet Witch. You can use her in a lot of in-game content, pretty much any content really, and she plays a really great role still. Number two is Dr. Voodoo. Similarly, once his signature abilities have been awake, he's a really strong champion. That is for sure. And then number three is Guillotine. And I think, a lot of people like Ghost Rider and some other Mystic champions, but I really like Guillotine, especially from the bleed effect. And once her signature ability is awakened, she also has that strong regen timed into the damage she does. So I really think she's a strong number three Mystic champion. So my top three for science. Now, science to start off with, I mean that's probably one of the most underwhelming classes we have in the game. But I do think these three champions are pretty decent, especially the first two. The last third, the third, there might be a lot of debate who I have, but I think the first couple two everybody would agree with. The first being Captain America World War II. Even from a bleed perspective, he's got a strong special two bleed. Hulk is definitely my number two, and that's after the 12.0. Um, After the 12.0 release, he's really stepped up in terms of his utility in the game, and plus, from a lore perspective, he's one of the more popular champions out there. And lastly, now this one might be quite a bit of debate. Some would even have Quake here, or even Quake higher than Hulk or Captain America World War II. I don't like Quake, but I do like Joe Fixit, especially from a special number one with his bleed. As I favor a lot of the bleed champions, Joe Fixit made it out as the number three. Now, when it comes to the mutant, number one is Wolverine. When you think about his regen, his bleed, he's a great champion. I mean, and number two would be X-23. She's very similar, but her regen is not as good as Wolverine's. So I do like Wolverine over X-23. And for the third one, I went with Rogue. It was real close between Rogue and Archangel, especially given Archangel's bleed. But I did choose Rogue just because of that regen capability she has after her signature abilities have been awake. Now, when it comes to tech, this is a little bit better than science now that the new Spider-Man's out there, but it's not one of these super classes to be sure. But it does have probably one of the best champions still in the game, and that's Star-Lord. He's still one of the best. People that have a 5-star Star-Lord that's leveled up quite a bit do well from an in-game content. Now, number two is the new Spider-Man. Spider-Man Stark Enhanced. He's really a god tier type champion for sure. And then number three, Ultron. Now, Ultron's also a very good defensive champion, but I do like him from an offensive perspective, especially when it comes to Bleed 2. And he's got those two regens that can occur throughout the fight. So when it comes to skill, the first one I don't think there'll be a lot of debate. Well, at least she'll be a top three for sure, and that's Elektra. Especially when you get the bleeds with her special 1 and special 2, she's a nice champion. Plus, what I like about her, once her signature abilities awaken, is that it mixes in well with the assassin. So when you have a champion, an opponent that's almost dead, I mean, with the assassin mastery on top of her signature ability, she really makes to be a nice champion. But it was really close with my number 2, who was going to be my overall top skill champion, and that's Gwenpool. From a bleed champion, there's hardly anybody better in the game than Gwenpool. I mean, it's her and Wolverine are probably the top 2 bleed champions. I mean, she starts applying bleeds quite easily, and she's a great champion. And my number 3, now this is going to be a bit of a debate, kind of like the Joe Fixit. A lot of people like Crossbones, but and even Black Widow, even after the nerf that she had from 12.0. But I really like Black Panther, especially after he's been awakened and from a bleed perspective. I mean, if you think about the bleeds that he gets apply, if you've invested a lot in the deep wounds mastery, you're going to like Black Panther too, I think anyway. And when it comes to Cosmic, again, not one of the strongest classes out there, but Hyperion's a great champ. There's no doubt about it. Awaken or unawaken, he's a great champion. Number 2, you got Drax, and from a bleed champion perspective, he's a really good bleed champion. Awakened or not awakened, he's a good champion overall. And my number 3 was Thor. Now, even though he did have the nerf in from the 12.0 patch, he's still a good champion, just not as strong as he used to be. One of the kind of like totally overpowered champions in the game, totally OP'd, but he's come down quite a bit. But I think overall, especially from a weaker class like Cosmic, he's still one of the better ones to get. So, given that those are my top 3 by class, what are my overall top 3? Number 3, we got Wolverine. He is, like I was saying earlier, from a bleed perspective, he's one of the better champs. From a regen perspective, he's really good as well. Number 2, I've got Star-Lord. He overall in the game, I mean, from a tech champ, overall number 1, and then even though one of the top 3 to have in the game, especially from an in-game content, you can't really finish a lot of the harder content at the end of the game without having a really good Star-Lord. But overall, my number 1 champion in the game right now, still Chico. You know, when I gave her a special name, she holds a special place in my heart when it comes to this game. She's especially when you get her awakened, you put a lot of stones in her. Signature stones in her. She is one of the best champions in the game still. I think you can rely on the buffs and debuffs that she applies quite a bit. Overall, I think she's just a great champion to have in the game. All the in-game content that I do, whether it's Master Mode or Act 4, Act 5, whatever in-game content you name, I'm always going to have my 4-star Scarlet Witch with me. She does a really great job throughout the game. So anyway, those are my overall top 3. You saw my top 3 by class earlier. Curious what you think. I would love to hear about it in the comment section. I know things like my Black Panther and Joe Fixit will probably raise a few eyebrows across the community, as I did keep out some other decent champs for sure. But keep in mind my criteria. And again, this is my personal subjective opinion. It is a recommendation though. If you're new to the game, these are champions when you want to make sure you hold on to them and level them up and rank them up quite a bit. But would love to debate this further in the comment section. And of course, if you like this video, would really appreciate a like. And if you like this and other videos I have on the channel, would really appreciate a subscribe. Other than that, thanks a lot for stopping by and have a great day.